Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday.
Welcome to our power lunch. We're a bit tired today again. I don't know. I feel like we're saying that almost every time.
Maybe we need to move these to Wednesdays because the weekends are just killing us.
But we just got back at 10 o'clock last night from the Expand conference. I wore this shirt a lot this weekend, but still to put it on for the live because I felt like it was necessary.
And we're talking about the power of and the importance of community.
Yeah.
And so I wore my Fly with the Eagles shirt.
Yeah, and it was actually inspired, like the talk today was inspired by the weekend that we just did. Because every time we're with our community, we get re-inspired, we want to take more action. And we were talking on the way home yesterday when we were driving home. It was in Niagara, which is why we were driving. We were driving home from Niagara trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about today. And we figured coming out of this weekend, we wanted to talk about community and what community has done for us, why we think it's so important. And so, yeah, it was really inspired by this weekend.
Yeah. And we're putting ourselves in these situations all the time, right? Like we're going to the boot camps, we're going to all of these events, we go to the meetups because we want to be surrounded by our family, our friends, our community.
Yeah, the community that
the action takers
we've chosen. So why don't we talk a little bit about this weekend and what happened this weekend and why we were inspired to talk about community?
Well, I think we just did that though.
I know, but but what exactly was the weekend?
So this was our Expand conference. So this is what Wealth Genius puts on for the members. There are supporters there. There's sponsors, vendors that come, and then an amazing lineup of speakers as well, giving education. We've been to some of these types of conferences before that are more public, and I found that most of them end up being like big pitch fests, and it's a weird vibe at those ones.
Yeah,
because it's like I just feel like I'm supposed to be buying something when I'm there. But this one was all about family. This one was all about the support within the community. There's graduations that happen at these. There's award ceremonies that happen. Wealth Genius is really good at recognizing the accomplishments of the students and the members.
Mm-hmm. And it really comes down to, having, I don't know how many people were there. I think it was just under 500 or something like that. Having all these people that are our community in the room. Listening to the presenters, listening to what their messages were, but also taking the time in between to network with people that, we don't get to see all the time. We meet them on Zoom meetings. We, chat with them on Facebook or whatever, but it's different when you see them actually in person. Yeah. So I think it's really special for us to be able to spend that weekend, with some of the people that we've chosen our community. We love our community, and we always come out of them with sort of a new inspiration. Despite being a very exhausting weekend, you come out very inspired. Yeah. So I apologize. I know my voice isn't great today. I did a lot of running around this weekend. But yeah, it was an incredible weekend. So we figured, why not talk about community, talk about what it's done for us, and why it's so important. If you're new to watching our power lunches, we do like them to be pretty interactive. Do we have the chat somewhere?
I think if somebody's watching, please say something in the chat, because
we've changed our view for this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can see the actual chat that's popping up for this. Otherwise, we can open the video. Yeah.
So we like people to be interactive during these. That's why we started with slides. We don't have them anymore. We just like banter now. So if you want to, chime in about your experience with your community, talk about what community has done for you. See, we do have some people. Hey, Jasmine. Hey, Sam. Hey, Brenda. If you do want to talk about what community has done for you, throw something in the chat. We can talk about it.
Yeah, it's not showing up the way that we thought, so
that's okay. We'll figure it out.
We can see it. We can still see it over here.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
And if you think that this is something that would be beneficial for someone in your community, or someone that you think, needs a bit of a lift to maybe find their community, share this with them, and hopefully we can inspire some others. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. It.
So community, what has community done for us, I guess? And how did we find our community?
Well, I think maybe we step back a little bit.
Okay.
Because we started we'll talk about it from a real estate perspective. We started our real estate journey on our own, really. We were listening to podcasts and getting inspired kind of like remotely, third party from people, reading books and stuff like that, and just kind of learning how to do it. And so we dove in, we bought a property to do an SDU conversion, as many of you know. But we didn't really know many people that were doing it. We were trying to network, but we were building our community really slowly, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was really through, like, I guess, connecting with people as we were going. We weren't really immersed into a community when we first started. And I mean, we were building it, but things were a bit more difficult.
Everything was slower.
Yeah.
Everything was slower at the beginning.
Yeah. And I think that's when we realized that we needed to be surrounded by people that were doing what we wanted to do and beyond what we wanted to do. Because really, like, especially in real estate investing, if you're with your kind of regular day-to-day people
that aren't doing it,
investing, you're like this weird alien.
They don't understand the struggles. They don't understand what's involved in it.
Yeah. I think that goes
flipping a house. You're buying a house and then you're selling it, right? That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's the same with any entrepreneur, really. It's like you don't have a job. It's like you're kind of an alien to all these people. So we realized that we need to be surrounded by people that were doing what we wanted to do and beyond what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we were very intentional with finding our community. So why don't we chat a little about how we found our community and why we chose that community?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to start off with is kind of why that's so important, right? They say that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so look at your circle, look at your closest people. What are they doing? You're probably falling in the middle of that. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So if you intentionally surround yourself by people that are doing crazy things or doing what you want to do, maybe to the extreme, and then you end up the average of that, now you've just leveled up. Yeah.
And I talk a lot about people having ceilings. Mm-hmm. This is something that I've recently started talking more about because I really connected that with where we were before we found our community, because I think we had it wasn't like a severe ceiling. I think we knew that we had a lot of potential, but we still only thought that we could do so much, especially in the multifamily space, because that's the space that we were entering into when we found our community. And when we entered that, we were like, we're gonna do multifamily. We're gonna go beyond the SDUs that we're currently doing. And if we get really crazy, we might go a 6 unit or maybe a 10 unit, and that's gonna be like the wildest thing we're gonna do.
Yeah, 10 unit seemed unachievable.
Yeah. And really that was just because of who we were surrounded by and what the majority of people were doing around us.
Yeah. And before we joined Wealth Genius and got into the multifamily side of things, we were actually in another program that was focused solely on flips and wholesaling, right?
So mostly in the single family space.
Yeah. And residential. So the people that we were surrounding ourselves with were doing singles and doubles.
Yeah. So for us, going to a 6 unit when we're surrounded by people who are doing a lot of flipping, a lot of single family home stuff, which is like, that's fine, but we were entering a different space. So now we needed a different community.
Yeah, a different circle. We needed people who were doing multifamily.
Yeah. So we needed to get ourselves into the right community because we were now switching our focus, and the community that we were in, it wasn't allowing us to get through that ceiling that we had. So we found ourselves a new community. We were very specific on what we wanted. We knew we wanted multifamily. We were very intentional with finding the people that were going to help us get to that next level. And obviously found the community we're in now. And thinking that 10 plexes were going to be easy, we entered this community and people are like doing 50 units, 100 units, like crazy, crazy things. And we were like, what is this ceiling that we've put on ourselves? Like, why do we have this limit that 10 units is what's going to be crazy?
As soon as you realize that you have the potential to go bigger, it opens so many more doors and opportunities.
Yeah. And again, that's coming back to the 5 people you spend the most time with. If we had stayed in the community, which at the time when we were wanting to flip, that's what made sense. But when we wanted to do multifamily, now we need to surround ourselves with people that are going to, bring that average of, 5-10 units being crazy. We were going to be the crazy ones in that community. Now we need to switch gears and get into this community that's going to allow us to break through that ceiling. So that's what opened up our eyes to these new opportunities and new potentials that we didn't even know we had. And now, like, we're working on a 24 unit building, like it's not a big deal. So that's where being very intentional with the 5 people or whatever, how many people you want to say, or your community,
450
the 450 to 500 people you surround yourself with, being very intentional with where you're at to make sure that the community is going to bring you to that next level. So, and I think this is actually an interesting thing to bring up, where is there such thing as like a community that is the wrong community? Like, we say get into communities, but is there a wrong community? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just entering into whatever community you can get into, because it might not be the right one. And it might be the one that's right for you at that time, but maybe not the right one for you in a year from now.
Yeah. As your goals and your mindset expand, then that circle changes, right? We use the term increasing your circle of influence.
Yeah.
Often, and that's because as you're expanding, you're going bigger. You need to surround yourself with people that are doing those things. So it's super, super important.
Yeah. And it's the same with like, even, this is a bit off track, but a little bit, it's the same as like coaching too, right? Like it's not just finding a coach. It's about finding the coach that's going to meet you where you are and bring you to the next level. And maybe that coach was right for you when that happened, but you might not outgrow your coach, but you might need now to find a different coach who's going to bring you to that next level. And I know that's a bit off track, but I thought about that a lot with people who are looking for a coach, and maybe they're searching for the person that's like doing, hundreds and thousands of units, and they've been in the game for 10, 15, 20 years, and you're just starting out. Maybe that's not the right coach for you at that point. You start with the person that's going to bring you to the next level, that knows where you're at. And then you kind of outgrow that coach and you level up to the next coach. And I think of that from my skating days, right?
I think that's very common. Yeah.
But anyways, that's an offshoot. But I think it's really important to be very intentional with the communities that you're in, and it's okay to outgrow the community and need to find a new one.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we talk about a lot, even when you're starting in real estate, when you need to maybe change, not find new friends, but maybe change who you spend
the majority of your time with.
Yeah. You don't need to like get rid of friends, but maybe reassess who you're spending a lot of your time with. But yeah, so
I love that.
Definitely. I like to rant sometimes, and sometimes it gets a little wild, but thanks, Yulia. You are also in our people. Yay. And that's why, like, you see, look, like our communities, they're like supporting us, and this is where community is so important, because
exactly.
I think everybody that's commented is a big part of our community, and I think that's where a lot of the support comes from. Sure. And I think that's where,
and that's why we do this as well.
Yeah.
And this is our way of kind of giving back to the community as well. And we just like, we do this to provide value. That's ultimately it, right?
Yeah. And I think that's another part of
open discussions.
Why community is so important. It's not just about being a part of communities and seeing what people are doing and, you know, leveling up based on what they're doing, but it's also having the people that are going to support you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in a community and people are doing crazy things, but they're not going to be there to support your journey, then is that the right community? So yes, it's going to raise your ceiling, but is it still as productive as finding a community that's actually going to support you?
Yeah. Support is a huge part of the community, and they need to be doing the things that you want to do. So you need to look at what your goals are. And when you join a community, that community should be in line with your goals.
Yeah.
They should be doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so special with the community that we've found is like people are doing these crazy things, but they're also not holding things tight to them. Mm-hmm. They're sharing and they're willing to help you and they're willing to bring you to that next level. So again, look for those people that are going to not just help you think bigger, but also support you in that journey, because it's not an easy journey. Like real estate entrepreneurship is not easy. So having the people in your community that are going to push you to the next level, but are also going to be there as like a support system to keep pushing you forward.
I've heard a lot of people say that before joining a community, they felt like they were alone in the ocean. Mm-hmm. Or people that don't have a community, they might feel like that, like they're alone, either on an island or alone in the ocean, however you want to say it. And it can be really tough because you don't know where to go to for support. You don't know where to go to for guidance, for anything, really. Mm-hmm. Right? If you don't know who to ask for questions, then you need to reassess who you're hanging out with and what your community looks like.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sam.
Shout out to Dakota for getting me, just because we put these to YouTube, so people might not see the chat afterwards when they're watching this. So Sam says, shout out to Dakota for getting me into one community after another. My progress has skyrocketed since I started connecting with great people.
I appreciate that, Sam. Cute. But that's a part of it, right? Like, especially when you're in a community that's going to be so supportive, they're going to want to bring you like with them, right? Like it's not just, you know, doing these crazy things. It's also bringing people with you, right? Like, and I think that's where it's cool being an average, because you're going to have some people that are doing more like crazier things than you. You're going to have some people that are maybe a couple steps behind you. So you get to take those opportunities to learn from the people that are doing more than you, but also uplifting the people that are a couple of steps behind you. So you get to do a bit of both.
And it's like I think that's having really cool. A support system and then being a support system as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate that, Sam. That's really kind of you. And I'm obviously that's why we do these types of things, is to be the average and to bring the people that are, you know, maybe a year or two behind, you know, bringing them with you. And I don't mean like, I don't like the word behind, but I guess being a couple of years of experience back, you get to bring those people with you. And I think that's really cool. And I think it also comes down to, when you talk about community, is working by yourself versus working with partners, because community doesn't have to necessarily be like, you know, our 500 people community. I think we're beyond that. I think we're 700.
We broke 700. I think just this last weekend in Wealth Genius.
It's not just about like the big community you're a part of, but also coming back to, on a smaller scale, the people that you're working with as partners versus working by yourself. And I think this is a big mindset shift that we had when we entered our community, was partnering.
Yeah, we were doing flips. We were 100% ownership. Well, 50-50 ownership.
It all goes in the same pot, so it didn't matter.
Private money. It was us, and there's no real partnership aside from the relationship that we were building with our team, our power team. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't really, we weren't building partnerships in the sense of ownership and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think you can do a decent amount on your own, and obviously like it is nice to own 100% of a project, but you can expand so much further when you're working in partnerships. you can go so far beyond what you're able to do by yourself on your own. And yes, you might not own 100% of your properties, but I mean, it goes back to the like going back to the grape slice of watermelon scenario where they like, would you rather own a single grape, like 100% of that single grape, or would you rather own
a quarter of a watermelon?
Yeah, quarter of a watermelon, where like obviously watermelons are much bigger, and that quarter of a watermelon is still a lot bigger than owning 100% of that single grape.
I made a post on Facebook saying that recently, and I got some weird comments, but
What was it about? What were the comments?
I don't remember, but it was interesting. It wasn't what I was expecting.
It wasn't about community.
That's Facebook and the internet for you.
It was about picnics, and things got weird.
Yeah. So Brenda says, to me, community means a sense of belonging and connection. Mm-hmm. It's about coming together with like-minded individuals who share common interests, values, and goals.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's where that like alignment comes from too.
Yes,
like
100%.
When you're in alignment with your community, that's where you're going to find the people that are going to help you get to the next level. And that there's also going to be people that you can help that are a couple of steps behind you.
Sam likes my Facebook post. Thank you.
Jeff likes to stir things up every once in a while with his posts just to see what'll happen.
Sometimes they're controversial, but sometimes I bite my tongue and I won't post things that I think.
You just like to get some weird comments.
Yeah.
So as long as it's also entertaining, clearly, so it's working in your favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Brenda, I 100% agree. When you're in that alignment, things are going to be so much easier. When you're surrounded by people that you're not aligned with, something doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And something like, I don't know if it's like discomfort, you feel like you can't move at the same pace that you are. It's like when you have forces that are moving, and I'm going to go back to like, gross physics days, but like if you have forces that are coming in kind of different directions, they're not quite the same, that like your direction isn't going to be in a straight line, and you're not going to your projection's not going to be as powerful. Like if you have energy going this way and a little bit less energy going that way, you're going to be going in a direction, but a lot slower. But if all the forces are lining up in the same direction, mm-hmm. you're going to be able to propel so much quicker forward because all the force is focused in one spot. And I think that's, Brenda, that's a lot like what you were saying, where if everybody has the same values, the same goals, they're moving in the same direction, you can move so much faster in that direction than if people are like kind of, I don't know, working against each other.
Yeah. Well, a lot of this comes back to kind of how humans even evolved, right? You read a book recently, yeah. Sapiens. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit to talk about kind of why do we feel like we need community mm-hmm. as humans? So out of the real estate, out of the whatever you're surrounding yourself with within your community, why do us as humans feel the need, without going 10 minutes into a rant? Why is that?
It goes back to like way back as humans. Like we were never lone wolves ever. Like humans were never lone wolves.
Like pack.
We always had a pack mentality, I guess. We always worked together, where we were much smaller communities than what we think of as a community today. Like it was actually very difficult to be like a full city or something like that, to be a group that big back then. But we were never people that wanted to be alone. We always had people that were like the hunter-gatherers, the ones that stayed home to like care for children. It wasn't necessarily like one person cared for their one child. It was the community was like caring and growing that child. So everybody had to work together to make sure that the community stayed together. I even think of, and I know this is controversial, but my family, my family's a hunt. They are hunters. So my dad goes out and hunts, and I'm sorry if you don't agree with hunting, that's not what this is about. But my dad goes out and they hunt every year. And part of what they do is they need some people to push the animal and then some people to take down the animal. And that kind of goes back to how humans functioned, where they were helping each other out. Whereas if you're one person in the forest trying to find the animal and chase down that animal, it's a lot more difficult.
I've actually never even thought about that. I've never been hunting, so I never really knew that.
I haven't either, but I've heard the stories.
It makes a lot of sense when you say it, of course.
Yeah, so it makes it a lot easier to find food at that point because you're working together to do that. So, and that's a very primitive, obviously, example, but I think it translates really nicely into how humans function and why we need this community and how we can produce and function so much better as a community, even now, even when it's not about picking berries and hunting for animals. But yeah, we aren't single humans. We are, I don't know, naturally we are wanting to be in communities.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. Well, and I guess another thing, and I know this was something that you picked up yesterday because we always listen to podcasts when we're traveling.
Podcasts, audiobooks, something that's gonna, I don't know, I try to educate myself while driving rather than just listening to music.
Yeah.
I also find it makes the, especially if I get like a storytelling author, it makes the drive go by a lot quicker as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going in a different direction. You're talking about Jay Shetty. Is that where you're going? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were listening to a Jay Shetty podcast yesterday, and the topic on it was overthinking, because I overthink a lot of things. And so I thought it would be a very fitting episode to listen to. And one thing that he mentioned in that is if you're an overthinker, that leads to inaction. If you are thinking effectively, so he's talking about the difference between overthinking and thinking effectively. If you're thinking effectively, then that leads to action, because now you're thinking about actually doing something and how to get there and how to do it and then doing it. Overthinking, you're almost just spinning your wheels, right? It's not getting you very far. And so he mentioned one thing about if you are an overthinker, one way of kind of getting around that is to surround yourself with people that are taking action, because that will help you take action and actually start thinking effectively rather than just spinning your wheels.
Yeah, I feel like I think that goes back to that ceiling, right? Like if people don't believe, they don't have the mindset that they are able to do these things. Like for us doing multifamily, like we would have never put in an offer on a 24 unit building at that time, and we would have overthought it, right? Like we would have said, we can't do this. There's no way.
Where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to how are we going to do that? What is even involved in underwriting a 24? Like this, it would have amounted to nothing.
Yeah. But then when you see other people in your community that are taking action, that are doing the things, suddenly you don't have to overthink anymore, because you realize that you can do it and you have the support of people that are going to help you get there.
Yeah. So
I think that's really an interesting piece of it that I would have never thought of for overthinking. Because to me, that's all in there. But I guess when you have the people that are surrounding you to be able to actually take action on what you're doing, that can make a big difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think overall, for us anyways, community has made a huge difference in our journey. Like Jeff had mentioned earlier, we talked to a lot of people that maybe haven't found their community yet, and they do feel like they're alone on their journey. We felt like that when we started. We thought we were going to have to take like the lonely road, and that's how investing was going to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. So finding the right community, and I think that's key, is finding the right community for where you're at is super important. But once you find that right community and you're surrounded by the people that are really going to elevate you, it makes such a big difference on your journey. And it's incredible. And that's why we keep showing up to Wealth Genius boot camps, despite having been to more than I can count on both hands. So, yeah. Any final thoughts on?
No, I was just going to say, I think we'll leave it at that. I think we've done it.
We've done it?
I think we've done it.
We've done it. So if you want to chat at all about our community and our experience with community, please reach out. Like as Sam mentioned, we love talking to people about our community and our experience, and lifting people up and helping them in whatever way we can, and bringing them onto the journey with us. So if you're looking for the right community, reach out. That's not saying for sure that this community is the right one for you, but it might just be what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So reach out to us. We'd love to chat about it, because it's brought us to places that we never thought we would be, especially this early in our journey.
Yeah. And if you like these power lunches, drop a like, drop a comment, mm-hmm. share it with your friends. It will be available on YouTube, so it'll be there as well. I think that's pretty much it.
Cool. So these happen every week, Tuesday, 12:30 EST. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we'll see.
Or you can catch it recorded.
Yeah. Or you can check it out on YouTube. All right. Until next time.
Bye, guys.